and that is none other than Nate Trout. Very happy to have Nate here with us. Nate coming from Syracuse Orange football history and the Orlando Predators right here in the community in the Arena League. And Nate, for me, I say this, I know you're a very humble, even keel guy, but in my opinion, one of the greatest specialists we've seen in the college football game, and by far easily one of the top 5 kickers in Syracuse history of all time. There's a lot of great kickers, and I'd put you right up in there, top 2, top 3.
Yeah, I was fortunate to be at Syracuse at a very fun time, and was blessed to stay healthy and start 4 years, and kind of put my mark on the program. But there's, like you said, when you have Lindo Mare before me and the Dave Jacobs and a lot of great ones and some new ones that came through over the last 10 years, it's great to even be in the conversation.
Well, I mean, you definitely deserve it. You worked very hard there, and I tell the story all the time. I know I told it to you, and I said it recently this week, that I'll never forget my dad. My dad always brought me to the games, and the game that he brought me to, and I was sitting in the corner, angled up in the 300 section, and I screamed out to you, you're about to kick. It got dead silent, but I didn't realize it was going to be dead silent, and I was like, "Let's go, Nate!" And it just stopped, and it echoed. And so I remember looking and shrugging my shoulders. I'm like, "What? It's my favorite kicker." So I will never forget the day as a kid that I screamed out, "Let's go, Nate," in the dome in silence, and now sitting next to you as a friend is pretty cool.
I clearly remember you saying that back then. No, but it has been fun, Dan, to get to know you over the years, and like you always say, and I say, I'm glad that we're friends now and can kind of talk shop per se about Syracuse football, who we're both passionate about.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to those times, you had such an incredible team and such an incredible experience, from offense, defense to special teams, the coaching, the assistant coaching. I mean, those were glory days, in my opinion. I grew up selfishly around that time. I was very spoiled, and so, I mean, I got to see all of these fantastic players come through, and you being a part of that, and we've talked about it before, being in that locker room, having that energy. I mean, did you know back then how great it was when you hear Syracuse fans talk about it now and they're like, those were our favorite teams that we ever watched?
Well, I was blessed to go through the Syracuse at a time where we had Don McNabb and Marvin Harrison and Dwight Freeney and guys. I played with maybe 7 first round draft picks.
Yeah.
And plenty of guys that went to the pros, but in the end, they were all passionate about Syracuse football, and what great guys they were. And we all still keep in touch, and it's been a lot of fun over the years. But looking back, I didn't know what I was doing at the time of how great a teams we had, in the Syracuse history. But we went to 5 bowl games when I was there, a couple BCS games, and really put a stamp in the legacy of the 3 biggest championships of the legacy of Syracuse football. And it was great to be a part of. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you got to, like you said, in the moment, you never really know exactly what it's going to feel like because it's happening, right? It's happening instantaneously. But was there a time or two where you took a step back and said, like, this is really incredible? Like, did you appreciate the moment when you had the moment, or do you feel like you appreciated it after the moment?
That's a great question, but I think when it really all came to a head for me is when we played at Michigan my junior year, Don McNabb's senior year, and those guys' senior year, where we played, which now we didn't know at the time, Tom Brady was the starting quarterback of that team. And I think we were up like 31-7 at halftime.
Yeah.
And really put it to them. But with 110,000 people there and the history behind Michigan, that at the time was something special for me.
And you look, Tom Brady, who was a backup at Michigan, a guy that wasn't highly touted and whatnot. You go back to that Michigan game, is that like a feather in your cap, claim to fame thing, saying, hey, you know what? We took down the man that most people can't take down?
Well, what's ironic about that, they had Drew Henson as a quarterback.
Yeah.
And Brady kind of played half the game against us both years I played against him.
Yeah. And
Drew Henson had a lot of playing time. And I think he was a true freshman in my first year. The first year we played him. But he ended up being obviously a great quarterback. Ended up playing in the major leagues for a little while. Then he came back and played football, I think, for the Dallas, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he played for the Cowboys.
He was projected to be the first pick in the draft out of football that year. But, of course, Brady obviously came out and did his thing, and it ended up being pretty decent. But I don't think no one expected that at that time, when he was coming out of Michigan.
Your thoughts on the fact, do you ever look back on that and be like, man, what a chump? You know what I mean? Because you beat Tom Brady back then? Do you ever, sit back and kind of maybe joke about it with some of the guys?
Well, what's funny is he was a captain his senior year, and I was a captain my senior year, and I got to shake his hand at midfield,
Yeah.
And I remember he had really soft hands, so I hate to say that, but I distinctly remember that. And maybe that's what makes him a great quarterback. I don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe the soft hands make it better when the ball has less air in it. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Yes.
But I think is the quote. That might be the quote of the year, not even of the week. All I remember about Tom Brady is he had really soft hands. Yeah.
But I think he was he has 4 or 5 older sisters, so he probably gets it from them.
It makes sense though for a guy that when his teammates win, he buys them male Uggs, which I would only buy for someone as a gag gift.
Yes.
So you don't buy Uggs, period, but you don't buy male. No offense to the Ugg company. It's just, to me, it's like the way I remember that's the inside of a boot.
Yeah.
When I used to take my boots off that my dad gave me, the inside, insulation of it, that's what an Ugg is.
Yeah.
So, but what are your thoughts? I mean, we're down here in Florida. Tampa's not too far away from Orlando, about an hour and a half. So Tom Brady is back.
Yep.
45 years old. Your thoughts on the man who is seemingly timeless?
Well, I just turned 45, so I graduated the same year as Tom, and he's still playing. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could handle that, but obviously he's done a phenomenal job of keeping his body in check and keeping his mind right to play this many years. But as far as Tampa goes, the hype in Florida has been awesome the last couple of years with him around, and Gronk and those guys has really brought a lot of excitement to Tampa. I'm not a huge Bucks fan. I do have a friend of mine from high school that works for him.
Okay.
But I'm not I didn't grow up a Bucks fan. I grew up an Eagles fan, and I still am an Eagles fan. But it has been pretty neat for the Florida people to have a team to root for, such as Tampa, and having Brady there and getting an opportunity to see the greatness that he brings to any program.
Now, you said you're a Philly fan, and we've had the Hooters girls, as we always do. We do featurettes with the Hooters girls. Yesterday on the show, Rihanna talked about how she's a Philly fan. She was raised in Port St. Lucie, and that's where her family is.
Yeah.
But the whole family is Philadelphia Eagles. And so how would you, now that I've had 2 days in a row of Philly fans, how would you describe the Philadelphia Eagles?
I mean, it's
like right now.
Right now, I mean, they've been inconsistent, I would say, and
okay.
I think Hurts is coming into a critical year for him to see what they can do from being a quarterback of the future, I would say, or at least the next 5 or 6 years. And it's a big year for them. They squeaked in the playoffs last year, got a little lucky there, but did start playing some good football at the end of the year. And I think this year they got a great chance to get further a little along in the playoffs. And I really like Hurts. He reminds me a lot of, Don McNabb. Can throw a little, run a little, and make plays on his own. And I think that's something that brings excitement to the game as well. But I am looking forward to watching him play some more this year.
Were you surprised that the team let go of Carson Wentz, the former number 2 overall pick, so easily?
Well, I think Carson never really put it all together, and he struggled for a couple of years there. It seems he was very, very inconsistent, have some great games. But also he was injured a lot too, so you got to put that on it. But, some of that he can't control. But I think Hurts brought in a time where they needed some individual effort from that position, and some, he could run a little bit more and kind of do some things with his legs that maybe Carson couldn't.
So talking to Rihanna yesterday, she is not a Carson Wentz fan because of the injury. Can't play a full season and struggled to stay out there. Yeah. And, I mean, to me, that was the biggest issue, right? We know he's talented. We know he could do a lot of things, but he's never stayed all the way through. I mean, he went to the Colts, got injured about 5 minutes into being a Colt. Now he's a Washington Commander. Are you surprised that he's becoming a journeyman, or do you chalk that up to the fact that he struggles to stay healthy?
Well, he was super talented. You know, some guys just have bad luck too, and a lot of people say they're not conditioning right, or they're not doing this right or that right, and sometimes it's just bad luck.
Yeah.
And I think the talent's there. I think if he could stay healthy, he could put a lot of great numbers up. I mean, in the end, he's a starting quarterback in the NFL, and that's not easy to do.
There's 32 of them. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things here with Nate Trout. Happy to have Nate here with us today. It is Hooters Week live from iDrive. We've been with you all week long, and today on Friday, August 26th, before we go anywhere else, I want to wish 3 very happy birthdays, and anybody else whose birthday is August 26th, happy birthday. But to my grandfather, Pop Cavino, up in heaven, God bless, and happy birthday. To my niece, Jason, that was here yesterday, my niece, Carly, big shout out and a happy birthday. Happy 7th birthday to Carly. And to my buddy, Jay, who we are the same age most of the time. And then for about 2 months, he's a little older than me, so happy 37th birthday to James. And, you know, I hope you all have a fantastic day. And I know my grandfather always shines his light down from heaven, so I know something cool happened today because of Grandpa. So happy birthday to all out there. But for me, this week is, I mean, it's been so much fun. It's been so exciting. We got to do so many things. You started off last year, capping off this year. You know, I love the fact that we get to have these conversations because of what you said. You know, we've built this friendship, and I never thought in a million years as a kid that the people I grew up watching, loved to watch, cheered on, that I'd be sitting arm in arm with them and that there would be a friendship, right? You hope to get an autograph, you hope to get a picture someday, and then when someone says, hey, we're friends, like that to me is the best part of it, and the sports world allows that to happen. So, I mean, what does it mean to you that, not just with me, but with a lot of people out there, that there are fans that will say, hey, man, I remember this day, I remember that. You know, Drum and I do a lot of things up in Syracuse, and whether there's 100 people in the building, 1,000 people in the building, 3 people in the building, somebody stops him and says, I remember this game, this day, this play. You know, Syracuse fans never really forget those moments.
No, they don't, and if it's a bad moment, they'll let you know about that one too.
Yeah.
But
did you have many?
Nah, there was a few here and there, but
okay.
But in the end, you know, we're all passionate about the same thing, and that's Syracuse football. And I know you are, Dan, and that's one of the things I most respect about you is you're not just there to talk about all the negative stuff or things like that. You truly want to be friends with these people because you share a common interest, and that's Syracuse football.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool to me. And obviously you're a genuine person as well.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, every now and again, even in Florida, you know, there's a ton of Syracuse fans down here. And you run into them all the time, and you know, oh yeah, I remember you kicking back then, and things like that. And, you know, I'm living back home now. So a lot of people still remember that I went to school up there, even though I'm getting older. It's been 20 plus years, So we're all getting a little bit older now, so we'll see how the rest goes. But at some point, everybody's going to forget, you know.
Well, I will keep it with me. That's my whole thing, is make these time capsules. You know, when you do shows like this, it's something that people can keep forever, right? So they'll never forget because it's always out there.
Yeah.
And honoring those teams that, you know, you were on. Is there a hope? I know some of the guys this year have been talking to me from different teams, different times. Hey, I'm coming back. I'm going to come back for this game. When I go back up to New York next week, John Flannery, who was on the Super Bowl team with the Colts, he's going to be doing a show with me because he's coming up for the Louisville game. So I know Rob Carpenter's come back. Obviously, Drum's up there. I've had Duke Pettijohn's come back for some stuff. Donovan's come back here and there. Don McPherson makes his way. So do you have a plan to go up for anything this year?
I do. You know, obviously Brady's up there, who I helped along over the last couple of years kicking. So I expect to get up to a game, at least a game this year. I was hoping to get up to Labor Day weekend, but I don't think it's going to work out. But one of my goals over the next few years is kind of be a little bit more proactive in getting up to games.
Yeah.
You know, life happens and things happen, and you kind of lose track of the seasons, and you're late in the season, you're like, crap, I haven't been to a game yet. But I'm hoping to really stay ahead of it this year and get up to at least a game, especially with Brady, now that I got that common interest there with him up there.
Yeah, and to speak on Brady Denneberg, who we got to do the 3-way Zoom when he was looking at things and had an offer before he got a Syracuse offer. I got to credit Nate here for connecting me with Brady. and he was like, you said it a few times, got to check out this guy. He's a quarterback. He's dual threat. He can run. He can throw. He kicks. And we had him on the show. And then I had him on when he was talking about coming up for his visit and whatnot. We did an exclusive. And then we did the exclusive when he committed to Syracuse. So Brady's allowed me to be a part of the journey and an exclusive part of the journey in a lot of senses, which is really cool. And that's, all thanks to you. So what did you see in Brady Denneberg down in Merritt Island that stuck out to you? I mean, how soon did you know, okay, this kid might have something?
Well, I moved back to Florida in 2018, and Brady was going into his sophomore year. And obviously, he was a heck of an athlete. At that time, he was really raw kicking, but had a ton of potential. And he continued to work on it over the couple years. What I don't think the Syracuse fans realize about Brady, he's not the normal kicker coming up there.
Yeah.
Brady was the state player of the year for football in Florida, coming out of high school. He was a quarterback, one of the top, if not the top, yardage completion for quarterback this past year. State player of the year. Like you said, you did the interview, he kicked the game-winning kick. He had the game-winning drive and then kicked the game-winning kick and to get him in the state finals.
Yeah, he ran twice, threw once, and set up his own field goal, which is insane.
Correct. And I think Brady just brings a competitiveness to him. He's got a great future ahead of him. He's got a long way to go. He's got to learn how to be a kicker. Into the trap of I'm only going to do this sport or that sport. He played baseball, soccer, football, all in high school. Travel soccer, travel, baseball, travel football, started kicking. And in the end, he got a Division I scholarship to kick and be part of the ACC, and he's got a great future ahead of him.
They talk about the sport of soccer helping out with the sport of football. And Brady obviously had success on the soccer field and was in an interesting situation because when they played for the state title this past season, he had to go late to soccer because of how football was. And I think he came into that game and scored like 2 goals right off the bat. Yeah. So what can you say, being a former kicker, what does soccer do to help out the footwork, so to speak?
Oh, it's big, and he'll tell you that. I mean, as far as quickness and agility and just speed work and things like that. And obviously you're kicking the ball every day, so that just helps your hips and everything. But, it's funny because Brady came back, and I don't think he touched a soccer ball for a year. Yeah. And the kind of athlete he was, his first 5 minutes of his first game back, he had 2 goals against a pretty tough team. And his whole family is great athletes. His sister's the best female athlete I've ever seen. His brother's playing for the Nationals right now in the minor league system as a first-round draft pick. But Brady's definitely bringing his own legacy to the family and kind of making his own mark. I know he doesn't want to live in his sister and brother's shadow, and he's definitely coming out of that and kind of coming out of his shell and making his own way.
Well, and that's a cool thing. I mean, about his family that you bring up, his sister and his brother, how successful they've been and just what they've been able to do that, hopefully they will all get to experience these truly uniquely, you have one kid in a family that could go play sports at a high level. That's huge. You have 3. The hope is that they can all kind of maybe call each other while they're doing it at the same time, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and they also have an older sister, Carly, who played college soccer, who's a great athlete as well, and maybe she was the leader of the group. But she's a great kid as well. And the mom and dad, Dan and Connie have done a great job, and they're great people. You would never know it talking to them. They preach hard work. Yeah. And Brady definitely fits the mold that they're preaching, and is going to continue to do what he has to do to be the best he can be.
You had told me before that Brady had to learn how to be a kicker because he had done so many different things and obviously was playing quarterback. Where has he matured the most that you saw before he went to Syracuse?
Well, we knew when he actually focused on kicking, we knew he was a Division I kicker before. Now he's kicking every day. He's actually focusing on it. So the little things he's trying to take care of and figure out now, whereas really it was just the bigger things that he focused on because he was quarterbacking and doing all these other positions. Yeah. So it was not really working on the fine-tuning the position. And I think now he's having that opportunity. And you know what? Never know. Brady's got a heck of an arm. He's a heck of a quarterback, and he might grow 3 inches over the next couple of years. He's still young, and who knows? I heard they were running a fake with him the other day. He's got a gun on him.
Well,
so it's not, it's not the normal kicker coming in there. It's definitely not when I was coming in.
Well, that's the thing, and I said that too, is that you're not getting a normal kicker with him because he knows how to throw and he can run. He is the perfect special teams fake play, fake punt, fake kick. I mean, he is the guy. If you're looking for a guy that can run it, I mean, you try to train a punter, try to train a kicker to do it. But if you have one that played quarterback and a guy that understands it, you could be in really good shape. And in my opinion, I said exactly what you said, and I've said it, when I was talking to him probably over a year ago, is I said, this is a perfect Syracuse situation, that he has all of this ability, and if people are expecting him to kick and probably not keying in on anything else, and knowing the fact that, he can fake that kick, roll out, and you're not getting a kicker throwing the ball, you're getting a quarterback / kicker throwing the ball. So you're getting a signal caller that knows where the ball needs to go.
For sure, and I would be shocked if we don't see some kind of fake from him and him throw a 50-yard bomb to somebody or a 40-yard touchdown over the next couple of years at some point.
You heard it here first. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We are inside of the fantastic location, Hooters iDrive, and we thank everybody for coming out here today, giving us some energy, and we appreciate you all on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com /WakeUpCallDT for being a part of the broadcast here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, live from iDrive on 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida, the exclusive home for Wake Up Call when we do our shows for Hooters Week. So very excited. Want to thank all the Hooters girls and everyone. Jeff Spraker, obviously Farron. Want to give Farron a big shout out. Tim Baum and the whole team for all that you have done, for always bringing us the hospitality. And I want to thank my guests like Nate, who have all made a trip to come out here and have dedicated their time. So I can't thank them enough. We got plenty of show coming up for you. A lot of great things to talk about. We'll wrap up today's show with Rapid Fire, where Nate and I get to have some fun. He's been ripping on me about my ex-girlfriends and the craziness. So he knows that I'm an honest man, and he knows I'll throw it out there. So I don't know what's going to come up next, but be sure, folks, that off the air, he's been leaning into me a little bit. So we'll be coming back right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Once again, live in Hooters Week, live from iDrive on 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to K9 Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of Hooters iDrive Orlando. We are live from iDrive in Hooters week, and we have had fantastic guests all week long. Amari Palmer, a.k.a. Odyssey Jones, who played offensive line for Syracuse and went on to now be in the WWE NXT, helping out student athletes to do name, image, and likeness the right way, and he was with us. And then yesterday we had Jason Lucas, who's been in the front office of a bunch of professional teams as well as in the media. He's been connected to the Orlando Predators, and so has the person sitting next to me right now, Orlando Predators former kicker and Syracuse former kicker as well, Nate Trout, hanging out with me on 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. It's awesome here. Love seeing all the people come in. Love being out here at Hooters. Shout out to the Hooters girls and all the management here and Hooters in general. Thank you for all you're doing around the greater community, and we love being here on iDrive. So with that being said, a lot of things to get into. Corey Bowen, we both messaged him off the air, so he's watching. So I got to shout out Corey Bowen, former offensive line guy for Syracuse, and I had an opportunity to meet him a few years ago when he came out and did a show with us, and I got to speak with a bunch of the guys, so shout out to Corey for that.
Oh, yeah. Corey's a legend around Syracuse town, around the Syracuse parts.
So big shout out to Corey. Shout out to the guys that are down here. We were talking about it off the air. Shout out to D. Brown.
Yep.
And we have we got Rodney, right?
Wells.
Rodney Wells is here, Dr. Phillips.
Dr. Phillips, yep.
So a lot of guys have found their way back. You're down here. Aaron Hackett's down here. Amari Palmer's down here. I said it's funny how Syracuse is my first home, and Florida is my second home, the state of Florida, and the fact that with this being my second home, to just do a week of shows, the majority of my guests have Syracuse and Florida ties, which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people that moved down here. I know Corey's down in South Florida, along with Rob and Mark. And
yeah, Rob Conrad.
Jeff Lowe's down that way.
Todd Philcox is in Jacksonville.
So there's a lot of people, and all the guys still in Jacksonville. Donovan Darius is in that area as well. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, Florida's a great state to get to. So
yeah.
I think they got tired of the winters up north because a lot of them were from up north.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to a point. I love seeing the snow. I love watching the snow fall. I love seeing the purity of it, and beyond that, driving it. The ice is what I don't like. I don't like the ice.
Yeah, no, it's no good.
I'm not a fan of the ice.
I'm definitely would rather be hot than cold, but I do miss the cold every now and again for a couple days.
I mean, listen, it's always good to go up and watch. Everybody wants to see snow on Christmas.
Yeah.
It's just, I always wondered how people dealt with it down in Florida, and then my family in St. Augustine, their road was just as, if not more, decorated than the roads by me up in New York, that they had Christmas decorations and lights up and down their street. How do you take, palm trees with Christmas lights on it? I mean, how do you handle Christmas down in Florida?
Very easily. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. But, there's only been a few Christmases where I've lived in Florida where it hasn't been 70-plus degrees. So every now and again you'll get a 30-degree winter for Christmas Day, but most of the time it's 60 to 80 degrees and hot out. You just kind of pretend that it's really cold out. You just don't open your windows for a while.
Yeah, and so I'm sending back to Corey. We just shouted him out. So shout out to Corey this morning. And it's been a minute since I've seen him, but I mean, yeah, there's a ton of guys down here. Rob Conrad is getting honored with an award this year. He sent me a message, so I reached out to him, talked with him. Obviously, he was a Miami Dolphin with Dan Marino, so good to talk to Rob down here. It really is awesome to have all of these connections down. And on the basketball side, Dale Shackelford, one of my closest friends, he's down here as well, about an hour and a half from Orlando. So he's doing his thing, running his broadcasts, and having a good time. So a big fan of Dale as well.
Yeah, I don't know Dale personally, but I am Facebook friends with him, and I do follow him.
Yeah.
And again, it's that Syracuse passionate connection that we all have.
Yeah.
I stay in touch with Pete Ferris and Jeff Camuso and Doug Duncan and Chris Bokel. The kicker groups I had there, we have a group chat, and we chat basically every day. And, the other guys, there's a lot of life going on.
Yeah.
So it's hard to connect with them all the time. But anytime, the cool thing is, and this is in life in general, with close friends you have, anytime you reach out to them, it's like you literally talked to them yesterday.
Yeah.
So I've always appreciated that, and you share that common theme going through college together, and you can pick back up at any point in your life, and it's like you see them every day.
Yeah, and those are the ones are your true friends, the ones you can see them after not seeing them for a year, pick up the phone after a few months, shoot them a text. I mean, I haven't texted Corey in a minute, and he got back to me within literally probably 2 minutes. He was doing great, so and that's what I love about the Syracuse family too, is that you guys just aren't on the show on Wake Up Call, but that we get to talk and build these friendships, and very, very rarely without oh, my bad, Dan, sorry to get back to you right away. Most of the time I text anybody from any Syracuse decade, and you hear right back from them hey man, how's it going? What's going on? How you doing? So, and congratulatory. They pay attention to my work. I try to, see what's going on with them and their families and stuff. So it really, it's not just a brotherhood of football players. It's what I always like to look at is a bunch of really great guys.
Yeah, and it's not just the teammates that I played with. It's guys from over the years that I may not have played with, but I've connected with in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. You message them. You might not message them for 2 years, and they message you right back. Hey, bud, how you doing? So it's just like any friendships in life where you share a common theme and you kind of go from there. It's just like us. Dan, I would say we don't talk every day, but we'll message once a month or whatnot and catch up on each other. So it's just, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's the passionate side of Syracuse sports, and we all follow it, and we all appreciate that about each other.
Yeah, it's the beauty of it, and it's the beauty of those connections that we get to have. So here with Nate Trout, myself, Dan Tortora, we are live from iDrive. It is Hooters week on 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. I want to thank everybody for coming out, sitting inside and outside right here on International Drive. We are minutes from Walt Disney World, SeaWorld, and Universal. Rank them for me, those three.
I don't know how you can not appreciate Walt Disney World the most. I'm a big fan of Universal Studios as well. And SeaWorld, SeaWorld, but
Yeah.
you can't beat Walt Disney World. The shows that they put on and how they make it as a guest there is incredible.
Disney, of the 4 parks, favorite to least favorite?
So what do you have? You got
Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
You got Epcot, Magic Kingdom, and Animal Kingdom.
So I am a big fan of Around the World at Epcot. So I'd say
Okay.
Disney World, Epcot, and
Okay.
I do like Animal Kingdom. I'd say probably Hollywood Studios is probably my least favorite.
Okay. Now, Hollywood Studios, it was my least favorite, but it's since upgraded. And we got a message coming in, stud alert. So that's some pretty cool stuff there. I guess some people like what they're seeing on the screen there, Nate. So,
Yeah, good.
yeah. You're very even keel. Like, you'll smile, you'll show emotion, but you're very much like, hey, I'm good. Have you always been that way? Have you always been just kind of like ride the equator, never too high, never too low?
I can't say I don't get emotional a lot, but whether good or bad. But I try to stay as even keeled as possible and think about things before I, at least try to approach it. But can't say I've been perfect in my life, but all in all, I feel like I've done a pretty good job.
Nate Trout is a father, and you just dropped off your first college student
Yep.
to Florida, to the Gators. So what was that experience like for you to have your first go to college?
Actually, her mother took her last weekend to drop her off, so I'm actually heading there tomorrow.
Okay, so you didn't have to do the initial.
No, so taking up stuff she forgot. But, my daughter and I are super tight, and she's definitely a daddy's girl, and I love her to death. Super proud of her.
Yeah.
The cool thing with her, she was did a lot of great things. She was captain of the soccer team at our high school, and it really kind of left her own legacy there. But she's had straight A's the entire way through school. So anytime she could get her grade in school, she had straight A's all the way through. Earned pretty much a full scholarship to Florida, which is very difficult to do. It's very difficult to get into Florida, but she earned a full scholarship for academics. Wow. And, we always preach that academics come first. I always joke and say sports comes first, but in the end, I do know to appreciate how important academics are, and she's proof of that.
Yeah.
And she's going to school. Well, she wants to go into finance or some kind of finance degree. And she's a lot smarter than I was, I can tell you that right now.
So she gets a full scholarship academically, which is extremely hard to do. What can you say about the pride in that?
There's a lot of pride, and she's always been a self-motivated person, so I cannot take any credit. Her mom helped her a little bit more than I did, but I think even her mom would tell her to say that it was all on Kylie. Kylie was a very self-motivated person. Never had to help her with her homework. Always figured it out on her own, and she had a lot of pride in it. And compete really as a student, you compete against yourself. So she definitely did that and pushed herself to do the best she could do with school. And I'm super proud of her. It's not easy to do what she did, going through school the way she did, being a straight A student and keeping her head down, especially if you put on the fact the sport, how much soccer she played, travel soccer, high school soccer. Was an all-conference player here in Florida, all-state player here in Florida. Played in all-star games and things like that. So, but in the end, all that's behind her. Now she's going to school. I'm hoping she gets into some kind of intramurals or some kind of club soccer there. But the first priority is getting her settled in and starting school and kind of figuring out, what it's like to be in college.
She's a Gator. How do you feel about that?
I'm not a huge Gator fan. I grew up a Seminoles fan, but
okay, yeah.
I guess at some point in your life you got to suck it up and root to where your daughter is. But I will say I've been to a lot of games at Florida over the years, and it's a great experience. They got a great fan base, and it's definitely a great college experience going to a game there. I would rank it up there to the Clemson experience.
Okay.
In my opinion. And I've been to several stadiums, but Clemson's a great college experience as well. And their stadiums are both right there on campus.
Yeah.
And it's all walking distance, which I think is great. Similar to the Dome. I personally, I would like to experience the whole thing of going to the Dome. It seems like I'm always there. I was playing, and then when you go up there, you always have events going on. so you kind of just walk straight there and go in. But
Yeah.
I want to, over the next couple of years, to kind of experience the whole circle with it.
Yeah.
At Syracuse.
So there's a Death Valley in California. LSU claims that they're Death Valley,
Yep.
and Clemson claims that they're Death Valley.
Yep.
Who's the real Death Valley?
Well, I'm more of a Clemson fan than I am LSU, so I'm gonna have to go with Clemson. But
Okay.
they both have some pretty darn good traditions, though.
So you've been out to Clemson, you've been out to Death Valley. How would you describe what that was like?
They're both fascinating. I mean, Clemson is a fascinating stadium, and their fan base is very passionate. And of course, they're orange, so I do appreciate that part of it. But I was there for the Syracuse game several years ago, and we had them beat. If you remember, they had a 97-yard drive.
Yeah.
Sterling put the ball on the 3 with 2 minutes left or whatnot. I was already really ready to go party all night after we upset them 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
That would have been the second year in a row. So that was a great experience. But just the experience of walking to the stadium and being a part of that was a little bit different than the other experiences I've had from college stadiums.
Yeah, and you brought up Sterling Hoffrichter. I got drafted late by the Falcons and has gotten some opportunities a few times over to try and catch on with Tampa Bay. What can you say about Sterling? What do you like about his kicking style?
Well, Debo, the coach at Clemson, actually talked about him in the post-game interview. I don't know if you remember that. He had a fascinating game against Clemson. He single-handedly kept Syracuse in the game that game. He was kicking bombs, 60, 70-yard, 5+ hang time bombs. Yeah. They were having trouble even catching it. He pinned them inside the 10 several times that game. And the coach actually spoke about him. And you don't hear head coaches talk about the punting game much in postseason, but he definitely complimented him. And Sterling was a great kicker at Syracuse. Yeah. He was awesome, and I've really followed him. I don't know him personally. I'd love to meet him someday.
Yeah, we got to get you around him because he's from Armwood High School, so which is right on the way of me going from Orlando to HB Plant when I went to go see the guys in Tampa. So went by Armwood, saw the owl, and talked to Sterling from way in the beginning, and then did a special with him over these last few months here and followed up with him again. So I'm a big fan of Sterling Hoffrichter. And, I mean, asked to be a kicker, asked to be a punter. He did a lot of things for Syracuse and definitely came in with the talent to do both, and he showed that he could.
Oh, yeah, he had a great career. He's still doing well. I think he's with the Dolphins right now.
Yeah, so he's found a way to be in Tampa, be in Miami, so he's staying in his home state.
And, again, you talk about these individuals that kind of move around. So he was with Atlanta, and then he was signed with somebody else, and now I know he's with the Dolphins. But, I mean, there's 32 jobs in the NFL as a punter.
Yeah.
And it's
extremely hard to
be the best of the best. I still get people say, well, how come you didn't go to the pros? Well, why weren't you in the NFL all those years? It's so difficult. People don't realize how difficult it is to be one of the best in the world, the top 32 in your position in the world.
But can we go back to that? Because I don't understand, and I said this way back, way before I met you, and I say it today. How are you not one of the 32 best kickers?
I think I was a great...
Or 30, what was it, 31 at the time when the Houston Texans came in a little bit?
I think I had a good college career. I had a great college career. And, you got to do something different. So Lindo Mare, I was never a guy that could kick the ball in the stands. I watched Lindo in games kick off into the stands.
Yeah.
He had that kind of wow factor to him. I just had that consistency, I would say. And obviously you need that, but, and some of it's luck. You got to be very lucky to be in the front of the right eyes and be a part of that and be at the right place at the right time. And I had some chances, and I did very well at all of them. I played arena ball a few years. But in the end, again, it's highly difficult. You got to have a little luck on your side. And then you kind of get into an area where you're starting a career outside of football, and you got to see how long you want to continue to try to make your dreams happen. But again, there's nothing but respect for all the guys that do what they do, especially the guys that have been in the league, the kickers. You really only have maybe one job a year that you're competing for because the other guys have been floating around for a couple of years. And then, of course, you have the Nick Lowrys and Gary Anderson's, who's kicked for 20 years, and Lindo Mare kicked for 12 plus years.
Yeah.
So
one of my favorite kickers too, Lindo, come from Syracuse, and people don't think about that. But I mean, once you said that, it did hit me that the netting behind the goalposts very important for Lindo Mare because he would boot it and it would fly back. So
Lindo was the best kicker that I've ever been around. Lindo was fascinating. He was the best kicker I was around. His leg strength was beyond, and he wasn't a huge guy. He's maybe 5'10", 5'11", and he just kicked bombs. So even in practice, I see him kick 70-yard field goals in practice. But he deserved everything he gave. He was a hard-working kid. He came from a great family, and it was really cool when he went to Miami. And obviously, he was born and raised in Miami. And his story, I don't know if you've ever heard his story, Dan, but he sent Syracuse film of him kicking on some grass field. It didn't even have lines. So somebody recommended for them to look at him, and they came down and watched him, and they were like, wow, he was not getting recruited by anybody. And Syracuse took a chance on him, brought him up, and obviously he had a pretty good career and did a lot of great things.
Well, the thing that I find funny is I don't feel like he was that well known at Syracuse, and then he blew up in the NFL, and he played for the Saints, and he played for the Dolphins, and I spent a lot of time watching him on the Dolphins, but he was so good, and I feel like there was this like, why did there wasn't a spotlight when he was in Syracuse? I think it was big enough, right? Because it's like people go, oh, well, Lindo Mare, oh yeah, I'm a Dolphin fan. Where did he go to school? And I'm like, really? You know what I mean? Because in your case, they knew you there. I mean, Gary Anderson kicked for 2 decades in the NFL and coming from Syracuse, and so there's certain guys that you remember, but it's weird about Lindo. But I mean, I'll say it, and I'll say it over and over again. I never understood why the NFL didn't see what I saw. And I think if the XFL and some of these other things were around then, I feel like you would have been somewhere at some point. But I got guys like John Strafsky who kicked for Joe Flacco in Delaware, and he got in the Arena League, and he kept pushing to get in the NFL and this and that. And that was another guy where I'm going, is it just like not being in the right place at the right time? Because he was another kicker that was really good. And, I mean, there's guys that you see that you're just like, how? And with you, I mean, you were automatic. I mean, there was I don't remember, and I can put it to you like this, I'm not saying this because we're friends. I don't remember many blunders. I'm sure you don't forget the kicks, but you were pretty much automatic at Syracuse.
I think my last few years in the Dome, I had like 26 straight makes.
Yeah, I was going to say, at worst, what are you, 90%, 95%?
So, but I had a good overall career, and I definitely had my misses here and there, but all in all, it was I was there in a really cool time, and I think the difference between like myself, and Lindo got a good shot and going in the pros, and got a little lucky with it, and found some people that had a lot of faith in them, and I came out the same year as Sebastian Janikowski, who obviously had a great career as well, and Paul Edger got drafted that year, and I kicked with Paul in the All-Star game, and I thought I was pretty comparable to Paul, to be honest with you, but he was a good kicker as well. But again, I think some of it comes down to luck and just doing the best you can at the right opportunities. And I felt I did that, but it just never really panned out, and that's okay. That's part of life. And now I'm just trying to give back to my legacy, to my son and my nephew and their friends, and kind of seeing what I can help them out with, and other kickers in the area like Brady. They obviously all have the talent. I'm just there to kind of give them a little bit more knowledge than maybe they have today, but just try to get back to what I've learned and all that.
Were there teams that you worked out for in the NFL?
I did. I went up, worked out for the Giants. I was up there a few days. I did very well. I went out to the Saints, and the Saints actually told me they were going to sign me when I left. And whatever happened over the day that after I left, they ended up signing another guy. But that's the special teams coach told me that day they were going to sign me. So I was pretty excited to get in there and get in camp. But it never panned out for whatever reason.
Shame on you, Saints. Shame on you guys.
But they had a pretty good guy there at the time, John Carney. I don't know if you remember. He kicked for many, many years. But
Carney's still teaching, I think. He's still teaching guys. So
And I was excited about that because they played in the Dome, so I felt like that was going to give me a great shot to kind of get on with the team. And the thing I did learn back then, once you're in as a kicker, you kind of float around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's really just looking for that perfect opportunity.
So shout out to the Saints and the Giants for giving them an opportunity. Saints, it's all love. First football I ever got, my buddy bought me a mini Saints football. And I was like, why? He goes, I don't know. When I saw it, I thought of you. Because I grew up a Marino fan, like the Dolphins, then switched over to the Cowboys because I knew, like, the whole team's names and everything because my best friend was a Cowboys fan. And the Cowboys are my second favorite team, but Jacksonville, since day one, since 95, since the first moment, I've been a Jaguars fan. And, people like to rip on me because of it, but I told them, I said, this year I'm 7-10. I'm not, like, a crazy fan. I'm honest with myself. I think 7-10 would be an improvement.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with, going in that sense. I know Doug Peterson's won a Super Bowl. His overall record as a head coach with the Eagles is 37-41. So We'll see, but I feel like I'm going to like his personality. It might be a breath of fresh air. I did get to interview Urban Meyer. I wanted to do that for a long time. I could tell you, people asked me going into the season, how do you feel about Urban Meyer being the head coach of your team? And I said, I'll get back to you. I believe we have different morals and values, and so I think we're different people. And then when he was asked to leave, I said, we have different morals and values, and I think we're different people. So, it was good to interview him, but from my experience around him in the short amount of time I had, I never felt like he was 100% locked in to the job.
Yeah, I don't, I don't, obviously being in Florida, there was a lot of publicity around that, and Urban, it just kept coming. Like, the negativity kept coming from players and coaching staff, and at some point, I'm sure the truth lies between somewhere, but after how many things were coming out, you knew the end was coming for him. And, I just hated to hear that because he was a great college coach, and who knows what's true and what's not true, but just the way he talked to his staff and people that you hear about, I hope it's not true. Well, but if it is, then it's sad to hear.
Well, my dude, Josh Lambo, who always wore those nice hats and whatnot, he missed 2 field goals and 2 extra points, and he was really good for Jacksonville. The best kicker they've had in a while since probably Scobie. So, and then Mike Hollis before that. So when Lambo came out and said, Urban came over and kicked me in practice, I go, well, he probably kicked you in your kicking leg, and that's why you've been missing all these field goals. But that was a weird situation. He claimed that he got kicked in the leg. He got let go. Jacksonville had like 4 or 5 kickers last year. This year, they don't even have an official kicker yet, and we're going through the last preseason week.
Maybe I need to try to strap up. I don't know if I could do it. My head will probably fall out of place. But
yeah, well, you know what? You're down here in Florida. They need the help. Yeah. I think they would take a Kurt Warner from the grocery store right now. Yeah. So, Nate, you would do them no worse than what they've seen. I think you need to go get out there, start drawing them lines and taking some video.
You never know. There's actually a local kid who went to my high school. Played at UCF, just graduated, Dylan Barnes.
Yeah.
He's a very talented kicker, and he's still trying to get on with some teams right now. He played a little arena ball and things, but looking forward to see what he does, and who knows, maybe he'll be up there for a tryout coming up soon.
Well, that was a weird thing. In the last preseason game, Santoso hit, I think, a 53-yarder, and then he missed the game winner. But what he did in the game, I thought it was enough to keep him on the roster. So, I mean, I don't know what Jacksonville is looking for, but ever since they let go of Lambeau, they have been, like, bottom of the barrel. And it's not even guys that like you say, you float around for a bit. I'm like, oh, maybe they'll pick up that guy or that guy who you know the name. They're picking up the just most random, keep him for a week, let him go. Guy gets hurt, 3 weeks, let him go. It's not great to think about the fact that in a special team situation, Jacksonville does not currently have a kicker.
Yeah, that is kind of odd. I did not realize that, but
yeah, they brought some guy in
waiting
recently.
On some guys to get cut coming up that are in different camps or whatnot. But obviously, somebody's going to be there starting the season at some point.
Nate Trout, available. Yeah. Call him up, folks. We'll get you the number when you need it.
A little old now.
We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We are in Hooters Week on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, live from iDrive, 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. Thank you for coming out today. We're spending lunch with you, so make sure you come out. We got our second hour coming up. We're here from noon until 2 p.m. We've been here all week long from August 22nd to August 26th at Hooters iDrive, 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was, selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of Hooters iDrive. It is Hooters Week, and we are live from iDrive, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. Always love being down here at Hooters for the college and pro football preview week. And we are back again. We had a fantastic week. Had the opportunity to have Amari Palmer, a.k.a. Syracuse and Orlando Predators kicker alum. And not only that, but it's in the blood of the family, as we have your nephew and your son that are kicking on the same team right now, fighting against each other for the opportunity to get the starting role. So I would love for you to paint us a little picture of what your son's doing and what your nephew's doing.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit unique. My son didn't play football until last year, and my nephew just picked it up in the spring. My nephew's playing pretty high-level soccer, ECNL level soccer, and ended up leaving the team to try football out. And they're both doing very well. I'm super proud of both of them. They're both trying to figure it out, and they both got a ton of talent. Gunner's punting right now and kicking off and competing for the field goal job, and Mark is competing for the field goal job along with a couple others. But the cool thing with them is they're best friends. They have another kid, Jackson Cope, who I'm best friends with his uncle.
Okay.
And they're all best friends, and they all decided to go out for football and kick together. And they're competing hard against each other and working hard at it and looking for a successful year with it. There's actually another individual, too, who's a senior. But the cool thing is they're all buddies, and they all hang out after on the weekends, and we'll see where it goes. But they all got talent, and I would not be surprised if there's some college recruiting going on over the next year, and getting into college and getting some scholarships and kind of going to the next level and play.
So what can you say about, what do you like your son just started getting after it in football. What do you like about what he's doing, kicking the ball?
Well, I think he's taking it serious, and he's trying to figure it out. They all are. And they're not out there. They're out there to be football players, but they're also taking the position serious and trying to figure out the little things. So we talked about Brady maybe not having the time to figure out the little things. Well, they're just kicking. I say just kicking, but they're kicking, and they got the time to try to figure out the little things and make them better and better. And some of that, they're still young. One's a sophomore, and my nephew's a junior.
Yeah.
And they're going to get stronger over the next year and grow some and finalize puberty a little bit more, and that's going to help out as well.
Having a name, where does the name Gunner come from?
Well, it's actually a great story. So when my sister-in-law was pregnant, my brother, who I'm very close with, one of my best friends, and I decided that we were going to start calling him Gunner. He wanted Hunter or Gunner because he's a big hunter.
Yeah.
And I was like, Gunner would be awesome. So before we even knew the sex of the baby, we were calling him Gunner the whole pregnancy, and they found out it was going to be a boy. So my sister-in-law was, well, I guess we can't name him anything but Gunner. So I think they compromised and named it and spelled it Gunnar instead of ER, which we wanted. But in the end, it's a great name and
same, but just spelled
a
little bit different vowel there. So what about your son and just what you've seen from him and just how, I know we talked about how he's matured and whatnot, but he wasn't playing football prior to. Was this a thing where he never wanted to do it? Was it like, I don't want to be in Dad's footsteps? How?
I don't know the answer to that, but he just decided to go out. The head coach, so coincidentally, Brady had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Brady was a senior last year, and he was a freshman, and we went to Florida when Brady was offered the preferred walk-on and tried out with Dan Mullen and them, their group. And I was with the head football coach, too, and we drove up there together with my son. And when they came back, the head football coach was like, why the heck aren't you playing?
Yeah.
So he actually is the one that talked him into coming out. And he played JV last year and kicked 8 or 9 extra points, nothing crazy. But started working on it more in the off season and the summer, along with my nephew, started coming out and their buddy Jackson, and just getting better and better, trying to get there and trying to figure it all out.
When you have 3 kickers there that have the potential talent of getting recruited someday, and they're all together in one place, what can you say about that? Do you really think from your eye and from your tutelage and your teaching and your leadership and just understanding the position, could we see all 3 of those young men find their way somewhere in college?
I think they all have the talent to, yes. Okay. And honestly, and I know Coach Murray, the head coach there, would probably say the same. We have 3 guys or 4 guys maybe even, that could potentially kick at any other high school in our conference.
Yeah.
And they're all talented. They all got some work to do as well. But they continue to work hard along with Coach Beardall and Coach Adams, the special teams coach there. But the biggest thing for me is I'm a passionate Marathon Mustang. I love my high school. Obviously, I'm the head coach of the girls program there.
Yeah.
And they kind of share that passion for it. And I know the head coaches there do as well. And it's cool to be back at my high school, to be able to coach my daughter and to be able to coach my son and my nephew and their buddies. And that's something that'll never be able to take away from me. So it's cool to be around. And also the program, we went to the state finals last year, so it's on the up and trying to come back. Our tradition at Marathon is long, and we have a huge tradition. And state champions and tons of D1 talent's gone out of there. And I know we're kind of on the way back up from all that. So it's really cool to be a part of.
Merritt Island, having all of that talent, and I mean the school, like you said, when it comes to girls soccer, you being the head coach over there, you've taken on this role here with that talent to help obviously the girls soccer team and help the girls out and get them noticed and make sure that you guys are having success, which you have had. And at the same time, you are there as like a trainer, kind of big brother type of thing when it comes to the football side of it and special teams and whatnot. How have you married those two roles in being there? Because I know that Brady's not the only guy that you're there to help out.
Yeah, no, and that's so I guess one of the things I've always wanted to do in my life is be a part of my community. When I lived in North Carolina, I was a big part of that community. I did a lot of coaching up there as well with the youth. Yeah. I've been in the medical field for about 18 years now, and I love my job. But it's important to me to give back to maybe the individuals that need help, or to just need a little bit of something extra to help them get through life. And I'm there to be a mentor. I'm there to help them. I'm there to coach the youth. But the biggest thing is I want to be that person in my community to give back, to hopefully help kids get to the level that I was at one day. But if not, I want them to go to school. I want them to be successful business women or men.
Yeah.
I want to see the CEOs. I joke with the girls that I'm not, soccer's so hard to get into. The professional soccer ranks is very difficult on the women's side.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you're a lawyer one day or a doctor. I'm realizing I'm not coaching soccer players later on. I'm coaching lawyers or doctors or real estate agents. And I just hope that I can give them, and they just maybe supplement my legacy in my community to help them move on in life.
And you talk about that here with Nate Trout. Myself, Dan Tortora. This is Hooters Week Live from iDrive. We're at 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. I want to thank everybody who's come out today and all throughout the week. And, of course, a big shout-out and a big thanks to all of you watching and listening on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / WakeUpCall DT. So when you look at that in the NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League, it's gotten better. Mm-hmm. We've added teams. I think the WNBA and the NWSL both have 12 at this point as far as franchises. And the world, and here in Orlando with the MLS team, and then having, another piece of that when it comes to women's soccer, professional soccer down here. What can you say about where it's at? Because, I looked at the sponsorships and the companies that are backing the NWSL now, and that's obviously boosted it. Yeah. And we've seen some games out there on TV. And, so, well, how do we get it? How do we get eyes on it? I was like, well, you got to invest. Yeah. Somebody's got to be the first to invest. And once you invest in it, and these big companies invest in it, and then you put it on television, because the thing is, if you don't put it on TV, there's that preconceived notion of it's not important.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how do you get it on TV? Well, we don't want to put it on TV because we don't know. Somebody has to put it on TV. Somebody has to sponsor it. We've seen more of that happening, and so we've seen a growth of it. Where is national women's soccer, in your opinion, in the NWSL? Do you like what's happening? Do you feel like we're getting somewhere?
No, I do, and fortunately a lot of the stars for the U.S. team have stayed and played in the United States, because there are a lot of great overseas leagues where they can make some money at. But it's good because it seems like for the most part they're able to make a living.
Yeah.
I don't know how good of a living. It's definitely not up to par with the boys' side. But I know there's a lot of things in the works to where they're trying to even that out a little bit more. But like you said, I mean, it's definitely grown, but they still lack the money to make a great living at it, or a living at it, really. And that obviously is going to come in the future at some point, and that's going to take sponsorship and people showing up to games.
Yeah.
To me, personally, I would rather watch the women's game than the men's game. And I think the women's game is a little bit more of attacking style. There's a lot more attacking, a lot more goals, in my opinion, than the men's game. In the men's game in the U.S., obviously, we just got back to the Olympics this year, and last year, or the last one, we didn't get to.
Yeah.
Or the World Cup, I should say.
Yeah.
So fortunately, they're in the World Cup this year coming up, but the women's are one of the best in the world at this point, and I know they struggled last time, but there's a lot of great young players coming up, and I think they're going to be at the top of their game coming the next World Cup.
Yeah, speaking of the women's team, the Orlando Pride is actually playing tonight, so shout out to them. But, the NWSL, when you look at it, and I think if you go to the bottom here, well, normally we'll see, like, I've seen some of the sponsorships that have, sparked up here, and seeing some of the things that they've had have been huge. Now, we did get a message from Greg who said, Nate, don't pull any punches regarding your questions for rapid fire. I'm counting on you. So we'll see with that in a little bit, man. Thank you, as always, Greg, for that. But, no, I mean, you know what I never understood about when it comes to the World Cup, and you brought it up, is the fact that the question always is the men's team going to make it? Is the men's team going to make it? Are they good enough to make it? Are they going to qualify? Are they going to make it? And the women's team, no other country in the world has won more World Cups than the United States. Yeah. Not Brazil, not Germany, not Spain, not Italy, not England. None of these places have won more. Not China, not Japan. Nobody's won more than the U.S. women's national team. And yet the question is always, are the men going to make it? When the women, and I think this is one of the most egregious party fouls of all sports, is that the U.S. women's national team is the best in the world, and we don't talk about them enough. And I hardly hear people talk about them at all.
No, I agree, and it needs to be talked about more, but they are fun to watch. There's a lot of great players that we have. Alex Morgan still, Carly Lloyd was a player, the World Player of the Year a couple years ago, and obviously she had a big World Cup 2 World Cups ago.
Yeah.
But I think, we have some great young players coming up, and that's going to be cool to see. It seemed like last year, and this is going to come out way wrong, but the last World Cup, we were a little bit old, and which we weren't as successful as we have been in years past. Yeah. And I think we're going to see that turn. But the rest of the world is definitely catching up. It seemed like the women's game in the U.S. was a little bit above the rest of the world, but there's some great teams out there right now. And we're definitely going to have our work cut out for us to kind of get to the top again, like we were the last 2 World Cups ago.
Well, and what I find to be interesting is they're like, well, where do these girls come from? Where do they play? And I was like, they play in the NWSL.
Yeah.
They're playing for a $7 ticket. You know what I mean? So it's crazy to see when you look at the rosters that this women's national team, that when people do pay attention to the World Cup and they're watching them and cheering them on, they're playing in these NWSL games, and people, you can go out and see them. You can go out and get their autograph. You could probably take a picture. I mean, it's crazy to me that everybody gets up once every 4 years, but if you're in a city where they're playing, you should really go out and see them.
No, I agree 100%. And Alex Morgan played for the Orlando Pride for years and years. I think she's out west now, but actually my club that I'm a part of, and I'm the director of the girls there of coaching, they're actually going to be all at Orlando Pride game tonight. It's a club night there for our club. Yeah. So that's going to be pretty cool. So, and again, the more the youth get out there and watch them, the more they want to be a part of that, the more they're going to work harder, and the better our game's going to be overall. Yeah. There's a ton. Soccer is huge now in the U.S., the youth side of it, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I know it's been absolutely awesome to see the growth and the evolution of it, and I hope it keeps growing. I hope we get to see more and more, because it is such a great sport and it is so much fun. And I mean, I know that they lost in this championship, but in the World Cup where the U.S. played Japan, I remember sitting in my grandmother's living room, like right in front of the TV, glued to it. And I mean, even though it was a loss, it was still a game where I sat back and I went, wow, like, we're good. And people don't talk about it enough. And it's funny how, even though that was a loss, that was a game where it kind of pissed me off that we don't hear enough about it. So, I mean, owning my own broadcast, having my own multimedia marketing company, I could say whatever the heck I want, so I talk about it. But it was kind of like after that day, I'm like, I'm not going to shut up about the women's national team.
They're fun to watch. They're definitely fun to watch.
So,
Man.
From football to football, spelled differently, we have a few other things before we get into rapid fire. We're going to do that with Nate Trout after this fast break. It's Hooters Week live from iDrive, and we're capping it off here with Nate Trout, Syracuse and Orlando Predator alum. I consider one of the best college football kickers of all time, and if I was in the NFL and I was scouting, this would have been an easy pick for me. So that's just my opinion. That's my thought. Brady Denneberg, now you got to carry it home for the greater Trout family, that evolution of the kickers and whatnot. So I'm excited for those that are down here in Merritt Island, and I'm also excited for Brady Denneberg. That's my guy. So looking forward to plenty coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So be with us right after this fast break on Wake Up Call inside of Hooters iDrive Orlando on 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. We'll be back right after this with plenty more from Nate Trout.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Hey everyone, it's Sydney from iDrive in Orlando. We can't wait to welcome Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on site at 8801 International Drive in Orlando. Broadcasting live Monday, August 22nd through Friday, August 26th during our lunch each day from noon to 2 p.m. Come see us girls, hear from Dan and his special guests, and preview the college and NFL seasons from the greatest seat for all sporting events. Hooters iDrive in Orlando.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of Hooters iDrive in Orlando. It is Hooters Week, and we are live from iDrive hanging out with my guy, Nate Trout. And we are right before rapid fire. We got a few other pieces. You're watching the games. What are you doing?
Obviously, I watch football a lot. I love football. I love everything about it, honestly. I'm a big Eagles fan, obviously, so I try to watch them the most. But I do, there's nothing, just like 99% of America, right? I enjoy sitting on a Sunday and watching any game that's on.
Yeah.
And it's still cool to kind of root for the Syracuse guys you see out there. And I got some individuals I know, like at the Detroit Lions and the support staff there. So, yes, to answer your question, I'll be watching it in some way, shape, or form. I would love to go to a game this year. We'll see how it goes. But at some point, we're all going to be sitting there on a Sunday.
If you had to choose a team in Florida to pick to be your team this year, Miami, Jacksonville, or Tampa?
Well, I would have to say Miami. That was my better team growing up. Like you mentioned Dan Marino earlier.
Yeah.
I was a big Dan Marino fan. And then Lindo played there for 12 years or 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And so that was obviously special as well. But I'm the super duper Mark Duper and Mark Clayton and those guys back in the day.
Yeah.
They were a lot of fun to watch.
So, Miami, there's nothing like Dan Marino and O.J. McDuffie and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
So, I was a big Dan Marino and O.J. McDuffie fan. I don't know what it was about O.J. McDuffie, but I used to collect his cards.
Yeah.
Big O.J. McDuffie. Love Rob Conrad, of course. Wore
Yep.
44 in both places, Syracuse to Miami. And I will never forget, Fred Taylor and my Jaguars handed Dan Marino his last loss of his career, 62-7 in the playoffs, where Fred Taylor ran rampant on the team. So
Fred was a great running back, and he played down in South Florida.
Yeah.
And obviously played at the University of Florida. I watched Fred when I was getting recruited at Florida. He was a freshman that year, so it was the year before I graduated. So he must have graduated high school in '94. So that probably makes sense. He probably got to the league around the late '90s.
Yeah, because he got in before 2000, and then he got after it, and then it was Maurice Jones-Drew, and now with James Robinson and Travis Etienne Jr., so we'll see. Who has – okay, so let's go to the Florida teams. Who has – we know quarterback Tom Brady, so let's get out of that. Who has the best backfield of the three Florida teams this year?
Well, I still like Fournette, who's I believe still at Tampa.
Yep, Fournette's got a 3-year contract in Tampa now. And they got Rashad White as a rookie.
Yep, and so I think Tampa in that case.
Okay.
But I remember watching him at LSU, and he was probably up there with Adrian Peterson as far as one of the best backs I saw in college ever.
Yeah.
But so I would have to say Tampa in that case.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville, Travis Etienne Jr., and James Robinson, very good. James Robinson, 1,000-yard back, and if they let him play out those last little bit there, he probably would have had the record above everybody. But 1,000-yard back as a rookie with Leonard Fournette, with Fred Taylor in the Jacksonville organization.
What about yourself? Who do you think?
For me?
Yeah.
I think the best backfield, I think Leonard Fournette is good, but I think the best backfield, if they're both healthy and they play off each other, is Jacksonville, because James Robinson's proven that he can do it, and Travis Etienne's a safety blanket for Trevor Lawrence because they know each other from Clemson, and catching it out of the backfield. So I think if that's used correctly, fantasy-wise and reality-wise, they could put up some numbers.
So what is your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence? Because I saw him play at the Clemson game. That was his first career start. He got hurt after the first quarter, but he could definitely throw the ball around the field for sure.
Yeah, listen, he had over 3,000 yards. His completion percentage wasn't terrible, and he did have, it was like 12 or 13 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. I want to remind people, Peyton Manning's first year threw a ton of interceptions, and wasn't great. So I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be okay. Listen, you can't teach 6'6".
Yeah.
And also the fact that, he's a leader. Between high school and college, I think he only lost 7 games, something ridiculous. So, he knows what it's like to win a state championship in high school. He knows what it's like to win, a championship in college. So, I think he's going to be good. I think, you needed to have, obviously, a head coach that was a leader. Don't ask a rookie to lead the whole team when the coach isn't doing it. So we'll see where it goes from here, but I am excited about what he can do. I think his trajectory is up. I have him as one of the top 13 quarterbacks in the top 15 quarterbacks in the NFL. So I think he's in the upper half, and I think that sky's the limit. I just hope that Jacksonville holds on to him and that he makes his time in the NFL in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him get good and leave. So
I think he's going to have a great career, and I think he's really going to have a great year this year, honestly. I really liked him in college.
Yeah, I mean, I could see 4,000 yards. I could see 30-plus touchdowns. Yeah. I could see completion percentage over 60%, maybe 64, 65. I got my high hopes. They brought in some more receivers. They let go of some guys. They got Travis healthy. And that offensive line for 3 years, I said, if they're not healthy, it's not going to stay together. And last year I said this is the last time that Jacksonville is going to put up with these guys that they paid a lot of money to that are veterans and aren't healthy. And sure enough, it didn't stay together, and it was the last time they paid a bunch of those guys. So Tyler Shatley is now a center on the team, and he also can play guard. They drafted Luke Fortner out of Kentucky, who's a center and a guard. They got Cam Robinson at left tackle again. Jawan Taylor's on his last leg in his rookie contract out of Florida at right tackle. And then you bring in Brandon Sheriff from Washington to play the other guard position. And I think that this might be the best line they've had in a while.
Yeah, Jawan Taylor is from Cocoa High School out of my area. My dad and his dad worked together.
Oh, okay.
So they worked together for years at UPS.
I'm hoping
so
big things for
follows him
Jawan.
quite a well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping big things, but Papa Joe's a Gator, and so I know he was excited about Jawan, and I interviewed Jawan, and now he's kind of like in that last place with Jawan, like he needs to figure it out. So, but hopefully, and Cam Robinson's not the franchise tag, which I'm happy about, and he's got a 3-year contract out of Alabama, so I'm looking forward to seeing Cam Robinson stay healthy, because I think a healthy left tackle, Cam Robinson, is a really good He's a good asset to a team. So I think there's a lot of good to be had there with Cam. Wide receiver-wise, best Florida team this year.
Well, you got the core in Tampa, right? So I know we got the sorry, I can't remember his name. The new guy down in Miami.
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill.
So you got speed and speed. You got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, and I mean obviously that's a great receiving core, but you got Evans and those guys coming back.
Evans and Godwin,
Yeah, Godwin's coming off an injury. I know, so I guess they don't have Gronk anymore, so we'll see. But I just think it's hard to when you get Tom Brady there, you attract other people. It seems like, and I don't know how you can.
Oh, I said by week 4 or week 7, somewhere in that region, Gronk will be back playing again.
At some point.
He'll play again.
He can't sit out too long.
No, and he understands that if he does this dance with them, he doesn't have to go and train.
Yep.
He doesn't have to be in the heat. He doesn't have to put his body through anything. He just go play.
Didn't Brady just do that for 2 weeks, pretty much?
He left for personal reasons.
Yeah.
So
predetermined.
Tom can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. So
Tom can do whatever he
wants.
wants.
Lawrence and Tua got a ways to go to get to that point.
So I'm excited about what's coming up here. But yeah, I mean 7-10 to me I think is okay for Jacksonville. It's a step up. It's not a winning record, but it's better.
Well, I think at any point, I do think Trevor's going to have a great year. I like to follow him just because he came from the ACC and got to watch him quite a few times from Syracuse, and I always thought he was a great quarterback. But unfortunately, I don't know enough to give him a prediction. But hopefully, they can get some wins. They got to get past the whole Urban Meyer thing, and I do love their coach. He's an Eagles guy.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to watching.
Did you like Doug Peterson when he was an Eagles coach?
Like Doug Peterson. Okay. And he's a quarterbacks guy, so that's why I think Trevor, he did a great job with the quarterbacks at the Eagles when they won the championship that year.
Yeah, with Nick Foles.
With Nick Foles, those guys. So we'll see how it goes, but I do like Peterson a lot, and I think he's going to do a lot of good things.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this season. I'm excited to get around Doug Peterson. I'm excited to see Trevor. I'm excited to have Travis Etienne. I'm excited for my Syracuse guy, Cisco, putting that work in after his rookie season. So very much looking forward to Andre Cisco. Much love to you, Dre. And Trill Williams, I'm hoping he comes back from injury so he can get out there for Miami as well. Undrafted rookie that played DB and was with the New Orleans Saints and then went to Miami and has stuck with Miami for a really long time. So, and he said he's got a loyal fan base. People have been supporting him. So shout out to Trill and to Cisco. And I got some other guys floating around, some undrafted rookies that have made training camp for Jacksonville, made the rookie mini camp, still hanging out with them. So I'm hoping that some of my dogs hold on. So
do you expect Tyreek Hill to have a big year down in Miami, or is
Mahomes
the key there?
I don't think Mahomes. I mean, listen, Mahomes is really, really good, right? We all know that. But Tyreek Hill, you can hand him the ball, pitch him the ball. Yeah. You can drop the ball on the ground and let him fumble, recover the thing, and run. I mean, so I don't get the unfair assessment that Tua is a trash quarterback. And at the same time, what does Tua have to do? Pitch it, hand it off. I mean, just get Tyreek the ball. Do a wide receiver reverse. Yeah. Let him do a wildcat. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's Tyreek. And you got Jalen on one side, Tyreek on the other. Yep. You got speed and speed. Tua's got to be able to hit somebody. And if Tua can't hit these road runners, then at that point you can say, okay, maybe not Tua. But no, I think Miami's going to be maybe better than I originally predicted them to be. I think the Jets, I think the best talent on the Jets are their rookies and their second-year guys. I think the best players are the guys they drafted the last 2 years on the whole team. And I'm talking my guy Ahmad Sauce Gardner. I'm talking Jermaine Johnson II. I'm talking Garrett Wilson. And some of the other pieces, Michael Carter. But Zach Wilson being healthy, and is Zach Wilson really going to be competitive, and is he going to be the guy? That's a big question mark. So the way I look at it right now is I think the Bills are at the top, and then it's hard for me to go against Bill Belichick because whether or not they have household names, he finds a way to scheme and win.
Yeah, he does.
So I feel like he could be second, and then I had Miami last, but maybe I flipped that and put Miami third. And I think honestly, I think any one of those teams could be second, but it depends on what the Patriots do. Ultimately, though, I think the Bills. I mean, I know some fans want me to say it, some fans don't want me to say it because they get nervous, but I think the Bills got a shot at getting back to that big game.
Yeah, I do too. And obviously they had a great postseason run last year. And I mean, anybody could have won that game with the Chiefs and them. What a great game that was to watch.
Yeah.
But you know, the Patriots got Matt Jones as well, who's a phenomenal quarterback, and he's another second-year guy too. Looking forward to watching him play this year. But yeah, I would agree with you. I would say Miami's probably going to be in the third region there. Jets are so young right now; they still got a couple years away.
So we are literally in this college football and college and pro football preview week from Hooters, live from iDrive 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here with Nate Trout. I told you that we would bring you literally to the doorstep of college football, and I am saying that because today is Friday, August 26th. On Saturday, August 27th, believe it or not, they call it Week 0. The first college football games are tomorrow.
Yep.
And there is a big slate of games. And it's not just one or two. Plenty of games coming up Saturday, August 27th. We are bringing you to the doorstep. First game of the season to usher in the 2022-23 college football season. Austin Peay at Western Kentucky at noon Eastern Time. Nebraska at Northwestern, Big Ten game.
Yep.
Idaho State at UNLV. UConn, who is now independent, at Utah State. Wyoming at Illinois. And that game will mean on the first day of college football, we will see Tommy DeVito as the starting quarterback of the Fighting Illini. And that's at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on the Big Ten Network. Duquesne will play at Florida State. Charlotte at Florida Atlantic. Two teams that are going to be going to the American and playing their last season in Conference USA. Florida A&M at North Carolina, so we'll see Mac Brown in year number 3 in his second stint in North Carolina. And then we have North Texas at UTEP. That's another conference game in Conference USA. North Texas will be joining the American next year. Nevada at New Mexico State, and Vanderbilt at Hawaii. So your thoughts on the fact that, when he went in the transfer portal and he went to Illinois, I said back then, I go, Tommy DeVito is going to be the starting quarterback of Illinois. They just announced it yesterday. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know. Obviously, he's a Syracuse guy, and he came out with a lot of hype at Syracuse, and for whatever reason, when we couldn't, whether it's Syracuse or Tommy or whatever, we couldn't put it all together. But I enjoyed watching him over the last several years. He has a great arm.
Yeah.
And I think, who knows if he can put some things together at Illinois, he could have a great year. There's no doubt he has an NFL-type arm.
Yeah.
And he can definitely sling the ball around. So maybe the pieces are a little bit different around Illinois. It can help him out a little bit better here and there. But, you never know. And he's also got a little bit – I'd imagine he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
To kind of get to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're taking a look at that, and Tommy DeVito now he's going to be wearing number 3 for the Fighting Illini, coming from Cedar Grove, New Jersey. And a big shout out to him and his family. Got to talk to Mom and Dad, Tom DeVito, Tom Sr., as well as Lexi yesterday, and got some nice messages from them as they're obviously very excited about Tommy getting his opportunity. He did have 4 seasons at Syracuse, but due to the COVID year, he does get an extra opportunity. So in 2018, he attempted 87 passes, 50.6% completion percentage. He had almost 300 more passes the next year as the starter, 337 attempts. So adding almost 300 passes, he went from 50% completion percentage to 63.2, 2,300 plus yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 picks. And then he attempted 96 passes in 2020, 50% completion percentage, 52 passes last year, 61.5. And he has run the ball for a few touchdowns on the ground, but he is a traditional pocket passer presence, which I think is perfect for the Big Ten because they're all about the offensive line and being in a pro style and letting their quarterback sit in the pocket. So I think this probably fits him a lot better than Dino trying to force Tommy DeVito into an Eric Dungy system and making him run the ball when he was never a running quarterback.
No, I would agree with that. And Tommy, I do appreciate the game that I watched and live with him, which was at Florida State. We had our Big East Championship reunion up there, and Eric Dungy got hurt early in the game, and Tommy came back and led us to a victory.
Yeah.
And he also did that, I believe, in the North Carolina game that same year where Dungy got hurt as well. And Tommy did have, we talked about being lucky or unlucky.
Yeah.
He did have some unfortunate injuries. We kind of had to set him back a little bit. I believe he got injured every year except for his last year there.
Yeah.
Because even the year he had a really good year, his sophomore year, he got injured late in the season.
Yeah.
It was kind of in and out. And then his other year, he was out for the rest of the year.
That 2018, it was like coming in and helping them get, he was always good coming off the bench. He was a great relief guy, so to speak, where he could come in and finish out a game. And like you mentioned, a couple of them, but there was a bunch of wins that they had where Tommy DeVito came out when Eric Dungy went out and found a way to keep them successful, keep them competitive.
Oh, yeah. And Dungy was a great quarterback, and I think that year they went 10-2. And, DeVito was a big part of that.
Yeah.
He won a couple games for him. And obviously he got a chance to learn. But, a different atmosphere may be good for him.
Yeah.
I think you and I are both expecting to have a big year and sling the ball around. It's going to be fun to watch them. I'm definitely going to be watching that game tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. So Big Ten Network, make sure that you're available in our area.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we're going to jump into a few other things here. And keeping with the Big Ten, so college football realignment, I've done a lot of shows about it. I did a map show where I put out where things are, where I think they could go, what regions I think make sense, and different things that the SEC is doing that I think the American and the Sun Belts are going to be competitive and successful off of because they followed the same model. What are your thoughts, kind of broad scoping it, on realignment and knowing the fact that the Big Ten and the SEC are essentially, potentially, doing what I think is going to happen? I said over a year ago that the SEC would break away. I'm looking at the Big Ten maybe looking to do the same thing. And I ultimately think with the college football playoff not expanding after going through 3 of the 4 pieces they had to go through and stopping, I think that we're going to see the college football playoff have their contract run out and then form a new contract. And I think there's going to be college football playoff 1 and college football playoff 2. And I think the first one, the main, or whatever you want to call it, the national championship, is going to be the SEC having their playoff, the Big Ten having their playoff, and their winners facing each other. And then I think college football playoff 2 is going to be the other 8 conferences and FBS. And then I think the FCS will continue with their playoff.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what's going to happen the next couple of years because you got Texas and I believe Oklahoma going to the SEC over the next few years.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal, right? So they have a lot of following and money. And I'm curious to see what happens. I do think that, from what I've heard at least, and I think it's going to happen, that college football is going to break off from NCAA and have their own gig. And it's kind of, you and I have talked about it over time. I think we talked about it last year with some of the realignment.
Yeah.
But, maybe there's 4 conferences instead of all the conferences they have right now. I just hope Syracuse isn't left out of that somewhere.
Yeah.
I think, with being the basketball school, and hopefully we can all, we can keep all that together and be a part of it somewhere.
Yeah. And so we look at Syracuse's schedule for 2022-23, and we're going to go down the line. Love to get your thoughts. I have my record, but I'd love to see what you're thinking. So they play 5 of their first 6 games at home. The only road game is at UConn.
Yeah.
And so I will go down the line, get your thoughts. Louisville at home, win or loss? Win or lose?
I think we're going to have a good chance to win that game. I think we're going to surprise some people. I love our young our running back, Tucker.
Yep.
And, the quarterback is going to the second year in the system. And I think Babers, over time, I think the second year of that quarterback has done a great job.
Yeah.
And our special teams are going to be great again this year. We got Andre coming back.
Well, there's a special teams coordinator now with Coach
Leg.
Legashevsky, who you've gotten to meet. So.
Yeah, and he's a great guy as well. So I think we're going to surprise some people. And I wouldn't be surprised if we come out to a 4-0, 5-0 start, and actually maybe I would say we would upset Purdue, but I think we're going to have a chance to be in the game with them.
So you got Louisville as a win, you got at UConn as a win.
Yep.
Purdue as a win.
Yep.
Virginia as a win.
I think we can handle Virginia.
Wagner, so that's 5-0.
Yeah.
So NC State at home October 15th.
That's going to be a tough game.
Top 15 ranked team, Dave Doran, really good coach.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a very tough game, and they're an up-and-coming program. They haven't been as good as they in the past as they have been the last year. So I don't know if we can overcome that. I don't know about Clemson.
So we'll say 5-2.
Correct.
So 5-1 with the NC State, 5-2 after at Clemson. Notre Dame at home on October 29th.
It's going to be a tough game as well.
5-3, we'll say.
Yep.
At Pittsburgh.
I think we're going to beat Pittsburgh this year.
6-3. Florida State at home is
going to struggle a little bit more, losing their quarterback.
Okay.
I think we're going to have a chance to beat Florida State. Honestly, especially with it being at home.
So what do you think? 7-3.
Yeah.
And then at Wake Forest, at Boston College to round out the regular season.
So I would say we're probably going to be 1-2 or 1-1 those last 2 games. So
okay.
I think we can get to that 7-win mark.
Okay, so you're going to technically, at this point, you're going to say...
I'm a little biased, too, though.
Yeah, because you got 5-0, 5-1, 5-2, 5-3, 6-3, 7-3, 8-4 is what you got.
I'm going with 8-4.
So Amari Palmer had 9-3, you had 8-4, I have 5-7.
Okay.
So as a fan, I want 12-0. I see 5-7, 6-6. Because I think... At BC, at Wake Forest are tough. Florida State depends on where they are. Pittsburgh's always tough, and it's on the road. Notre Dame's tough. Clemson on the road. And then you have NC State. And then Purdue, it depends. And Louisville, they struggle with. So, I think...
Well, we're not far off. If they can overcome a game or two, then
then
maybe they'll surprise you a little bit.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is there's got to be a bowl game. And I have to ask you this. Yeah. They've changed now. Syracuse in 2018 played in their last bowl, Camping World Bowl, 4 years ago.
Yep.
And now it's called the Cheez-It Bowl.
Yeah.
Thoughts on it being called the Cheez-It Bowl at Camping World Stadium?
Hey, you can't beat the Cheez-Its, right?
Yeah, I have them in my car, but I do right now. So with that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. And when we come back, we're going to have our final piece here with Nate Trout as we round out our Hooters week live from iDrive, 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. Thanks to everybody that's come out here throughout the week and today to join us for lunch. And, of course, come out here to get your lunch, dinner, and drinks. As always, drink responsibly. And we look forward to seeing you out at 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida at Hooters of iDrive. We'll be back after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for Rapid Fire, where we get to put each other on the hot seat and have some fun right after this.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Salsicuse, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We are currently inside of our Hooters week, live from iDrive, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life, and always happy to be here with you at every Monday through Friday. And you know, we changed our time this week, so we're typically Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time for Hooters week, live from iDrive. We switched from noon to 2 so we could join you for lunch. We appreciate everybody that's come out and done that, as well as everyone that's been watching and listening on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / WakeUpCallDT, on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage, and on Facebook.com / LiveNowDT. We're in the final portion of the show with my awesome guest, Syracuse Orange and Orlando Predator kicker, alum, and someone who is constantly training kickers as a head coach, Merritt Island, for the girls' soccer team. A lot of success down there, and connecting Brady Denneberg to Syracuse, and having the opportunity to now see Brady up there with some tutelage from Nate Trout. So shout out to Brady, as well as to your son, to your nephew, to their friend that's all working very hard here down at Merritt Island area in Florida to make the team, make the effort to get out there and kick, and to hopefully get some college looks here as we have coming up, just like Brady did. So a lot of good stuff coming up. It's time for rapid fire, and this allows Nate and I to ask each other literally anything, 3 questions apiece, and that'll round out Hooters live from iDrive week. So on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I'm going to let you go first.
Oh boy, I think asking the questions is the hardest part.
That's what everybody says. They're like, I can't think of it, and like in the moment. And I always thought people would be more nervous to answer them, but they're more nervous to ask them sometimes. So
one of the things that I've learned about you that we don't talk about, right?
Yeah.
Is that you're a hopeless romantic.
I am. I'm a romantic.
So for all the ladies out there, because you're a single man,
yes,
why don't you give them your best date that you could go on? Is that a question? I think so.
Yeah, that's a question. You know what? I think the biggest thing when you go on that first date is conversation, right? So I think down here in Florida, what you want to do is you want to find like a pier, a little like place by water, a little walking area where, you know, Disney Springs is nice because it's loud, but it's not too loud. There's music out there. There's places to walk. There's some other places like Celebration where I think, you take a girl out, you find a nice place to eat. I know some places out here. And then, you walk, maybe get some ice cream, talk, hang out. I think the biggest thing about being and I call it a hopeful romantic, because hopeless means you don't have it. So I call it being a hopeful romantic. I think the biggest thing is get to know her personality, let her get to know yours, show her that you're paying attention to her, bring her out in public and show her that you're looking at her.
Yeah.
And, I think the biggest thing is keep it simple, spend the time, get to know, and really just kind of talk. Because if you go to a movie, you're not talking to each other. And, if you go to like a club or a bar or something like that, you're screaming, you can't like hear each other. So I think the best thing to do is to just find a good place to eat and then, carve out some time to, take a walk together, sit on a bench, do some stuff like that.
No, those are all good things. And I do watch your stuff, so that you've been putting on Facebook and Instagram recently.
Yeah.
So, but other thing I do want to know is going back to Syracuse. So, what is your favorite game that you've ever attended at Syracuse from childhood to now?
There's two that stick out, and one is actually during your time. So Donovan he sent 3 or 4. I think he sent 4 receivers. I think maybe 3 receivers out wide, and hiked the ball, dropped back, and faked that he threw it, and everybody bid on it. And I was behind the goalpost with my dad watching the game. And so everybody had flown, everyone's down the field and like 10, 15, 20 yards down the field, and everyone's like, where the hell's the ball? And you see DBs start to kind of finally, and Kevin Johnson had stayed back, and he was waiting, and Donovan had the ball at his hip, and I'm looking with my dad, and I go, is that the ball? My dad's like, no. I was like, I think that the ball's right there. Kevin came around, grabbed the ball, swung around his left side, and just flew up the field. So that was one of my favorite games.
I believe that was against Rutgers in 1998.
Yeah, that was bad. So, because Kevin Johnson's one of my favorites of all time. Yeah. So I would say that game, and then I would actually say down here in Orlando, which is fitting with my connection to Florida and New York, my 2 homes. I would say that down in Orlando at the Camping World Bowl, I mean, seeing Eric Dungy and that team, all those guys that I got so close with, that they finally got to a bowl game, they finally got a winning season, they won the bowl game, they got to double-digit wins, they did things that hadn't been done in 21 years and over a decade, they're ranked in the top 25, they got in the college football playoff, top 25 at a certain point, and to see Eric Dungy and that team just face everything. And then I got to ask him the first question, and it was the one where he cried. And so my dad framed the newspaper, and he called me up, and he said to me, and I'll never forget, my dad said, do you know how many defensive linemen have hit him? Linebackers have hit Eric Dungy? And I was like, I don't know, Dad, a lot. And he goes, out of every lineman that's ever hit Eric Dungy, my son's the only man to make him cry. So that's like kind of what I got known for. And I was in the Orlando airport, and I was asking people if they've been to the game, and I said, you see Dungy? And they, cry at them. They're like, yeah. I was like, I'm the one that made him cry. So big fan of Dungy, big fan of his family. God bless his dad in heaven, Tim. And his mom, I just talked to her recently, Cindy. His sister Emma is amazing. Matt, his brother, awesome guy. Shout out to him. Thank you for your service. Both got married. And Eric just got married. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Dungies. I did a thing called Project Dungy where I had the opportunity to, and he didn't know about this, I did an individual interview with his sister, his brother, his mom, and his dad, and then asked them similar questions to see who knew him the best. And then that was part 1. Part 2 of Project Dungy was they all did videos and sent the videos in, and Emma and Matt were with his dad because they went to visit. And so I unveiled them both, reached out to him, and part 3 of Project Dungy was his rebuttal, and he came on the show. So I'm a big Dungy fan, love him. Sent him out a message recently, congratulating him on the XFL, that he's going to be in the draft pool in 2023 with Mo Neal. And he sent me out a thank you. So shout out to you, Dungy. You're always welcome on the show. And those are probably my favorites. And it makes sense because Donovan McNabb and Eric Dungy are my favorite quarterbacks.
So we mentioned traveling earlier. So I'm going soft on you here. So what's your place that you haven't been to yet that you would love to go to? Anywhere in the world?
Italy and Spain to see my family, and Hawaii.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would say those. All right, I got 3 for Nate Trout. Well, you are currently dating.
Yep.
How would you describe your dating style? What type of boyfriend is Nate Trout?
Well, I've been in several relationships. I was married for 15 years, and I am dating someone right now. And hey, Amanda, by the way. But my style is...
I love it. That even keel. Yeah. Hey, Amanda.
But no, honestly, my style is just kind of like you, right? Be yourself.
Yeah.
And kind of just do your own life, and she's got her own life, and come together. We're both very busy. I got my kids and coaching. She owns her own business and doing very well with that. But in the end, anyone you meet, I kind of want to be the same around everybody.
Yeah.
And kind of just be myself for the most part. Do the things I enjoy doing, watching football, and being social. I definitely enjoy being social, and all that. So really, I'm kind of laid back. I don't want to say I'm great at dating, because I'm not. But I do like to have a lot of fun. That's for sure.
Okay, fair enough. My second one for you: if you and I were in a Marvel movie, and we were 2 heroes, who would you be? Who would you pick me to be? And what city would we protect?
Well, I know it's not Marvel. We'd be Bert and Ernie, right? Or no? No, I'd say the big one is probably Batman and Robin, right? So,
okay, Batman and Robin for DC. Okay.
So,
all right.
I would say I'm probably more Robin, though. Let you do your thing.
You let me be the Dark Knight
and clean up the pieces.
Okay. What city would we protect? Would it be Gotham, or would we go somewhere else?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not a huge...
Protect Orlando?
Yeah, we can protect Orlando with it.
Okay, fair enough. My last one for you, Nate, is... What is your single favorite Syracuse memory of anything?
Honestly, it was not a play with me. When Don McNabb against Virginia Tech, everybody remembers that, the drive that went down to the game, and... he threw the pass with 0 seconds left, and the whole team rushed the field, and the stadium all jumping over. I remember everybody, but my memory of that is in the crowd. My little brother and his friend was there.
Yeah.
And they found me. And thousands of people. They found me, and it was just like this moment of, oh my God, So that was a really neat experience. And then I was like, you jumped the gate to get in there? He's like, yeah. And they were only like 16 at the time.
Yeah.
So we had a great night that night, and hope my dad's not listening, but took my brother and his buddy to a frat party that night, and 16-year-old there. So hopefully my kids don't do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, you said it publicly, so now your kids got ammo against you.
I know, right?
So with that being said, Nate Trout, my final guest here for Hooters Week, Hooters I Drive in Orlando, 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. Happy to be here to preview the college and pro football seasons, as we are literally tomorrow going into the college football season for 2022-23, and we are in the midst of the final preseason for the NFL as we head toward it. And I will see you from Jacksonville. Plenty of On the Prowl and different things coming up. We'll be back here at Hooters I Drive on 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida for March Madness for the first time ever here. And I'm going to let Nate, any final words you have?
No, I just want to give a shout out to everybody, all the girls I coach, and my kids, of course. My daughter's at college. I haven't seen her in a week, so looking forward to seeing her tomorrow. And, of course, my son and all my family back home. And obviously, Syracuse Nation, right?
Yeah.
Looking forward to getting the season. Everyone's undefeated right now.
Yeah.
And looking forward to a big year. Just for the record, I have a lot more faith in y'all this year than Dan does. So. We'll come back at the end of the year and see wwhere they're at.
I want 12-0. I have to be an impartial broadcaster. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching and listening on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT from noon to 2 this week. We're back to our normal times of 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time, so join us for the morning from the Cafe Kubal Studios coming up. And, of course, once we go live, you can search us in all of our archives: Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube. You could search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And You can also ask Alexa or your Google Home device to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that for you as well. Thank you to our Central and Upstate New York partners, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Woody Wicks, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Millhouse Market, Pizza Man, Honda City of Liverpool, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and Mother's Cupboard. And, of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your...
So, how often are you on every day?
All right. So, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So, the Dolphins want to give a shout-out to the Miami down here in Florida. Also to Lemoyne Dolphins Fins Up, as we are their exclusive multimedia marketing partner with the Lemoyne College Dolphins. You can find them every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with AD and DT every first and third Wednesday. Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, as we have chronicled and been the exclusive first home of the reclassification and realignment story that they may potentially go Division I. So you can check out all of those on our Lemoyne tab. And, of course, for Dolphin Dive that we just did with Tom Bonus and everyone on the second and fourth Wednesday with student-athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You can check all that out on the Lemoyne tab of WakeUpCallDT.com and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Marywood University Pacers. It is Pacer Pride every single month, and this week, like every week at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, you have your Marywood University Pacers Pacer Pride exclusive content. This week we had the exclusive first interview featuring the new head coach of the Marywood Pacers men's lacrosse team, and that is Justin Patterson, who has connections to upstate New York, where I hail from, so big shout out to Justin. Go back and watch that video and everything by going to the Marywood tab on WakeUpCallDT.com. Subscribe to our YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT channel. And for more information on your Pacers, go to MarywoodPacers.com. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are also exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Marywood University. The Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month on Wake Up Call. Plenty coming up. We've had many exclusive content breaking news stories with Alex Grigorita, Nick Dmitrievsky, Sean Peak, Tay Baker, Danny Frasina, who has finished up his time there, and Clay Gagan-Sherman. Check out your Bobcats by going to the BSC SYR tab on WakeUpCallDT.com, on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe. And, of course, for more information on your Bobcats, go to Syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of Hooters, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. Hooters I Drive, I want to thank them. I want to thank Tim, Jeff, as well as Farron and the entire team at Hooters I Drive, all the Hooters girls, everyone we've gotten to. Thank you to Jordan and Ashlyn for being a part of the show. We thank you all for being here. I thank all my guests, Amari Palmer, a.k.a. Odyssey Jones. I want to thank Nate Trout. I want to also give a big thanks to Aaron Hackett and Jason Lucas, and for our 12th year, the longest fantasy football league I've ever had in the history of anything we've done. 12 years of fantasy football have happened here with our Wake Up Call Orlando League, and a big shout out to our Hooters team down here that drafts exclusively at Hooters of I Drive, 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. I want to thank God above everything else. I want to thank my mom, my dad, all my friends, including Mr. Nate Trout, and all of you for being a part of the show. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Make sure you check out my story on Instagram. Always positive stuff coming up for you. And if it's a quote that I sign those individually, and those are my quotes to you to hopefully inspire you and give you a little positive for the day. So with that being said, shout out to Hooters internationally, and of course Hooters of I Drive, 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. Your home for fantasy football, for all the games, for college and pro football season. Come out and see them, and they've been our home for this entire week. We appreciate everyone that's come out, that has gotten a drink, and obviously gotten some food here at Hooters, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. For now, and as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it, everyone.
We'll talk with you all soon. Be safe and stay well. Wake Up Call. We'll be back at our normal time, 9 to 11.